Hello and welcome back to Flashback Review. I'm J77. This is the conclusion of TV cartoons that would turn into motion pictures. I am finishing up with Digimon, Digital Monsters. Before I get to this movie, and I'm going to get to this movie, I have to talk about the other films very briefly and tell you why out of all of the movies that I've done here this past season in terms of this format, Digimon was the worst out of them all. With all the films I've said, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, DuckTales, Transformers, Powerpuff Girls, they had their flaws. They had their hits and miss. Some were better than others, some were worse than others. But the one thing they all at least did, they at least try to give you something to come home with. They at least try to give you something that was memorable. Even if you didn't like the film, there was something in the film that said, okay, this was actually good. This was actually worth my time and effort. Even for example, Powerpuff Girls. I actually liked that film. Did I feel it should have belonged to the big screen anomaly? No, I thought it should have been a made for TV special. But overall, I enjoyed watching the Powerpuff Girls. I even say the Pokemon with all its flaws and all this stuff, at least it tried. It tried to deliver to satisfy at least not only their younger fans, but even their adult fans. DuckTales will always have a special place in my heart. Transformers have a special place in my heart, and for good reason. They actually try to go beyond what the TV show has done. And I appreciate that just for that. I appreciate it for what they was trying to do. Even Yu-Gi-Oh, with all their misses, have at least tried to make it worth spending your money on. Digimon didn't try. And the reason why it didn't try is because of the simple fact is, this wasn't a movie. At all. You were watching not one, not two, but 3 lost episodes of a Digimon TV show. That's basically what this was. You were watching 3 episodes of Digimon compressed into an hour-plus film. And that's was my problem with this movie. Right from the beginning. The poster you're seeing right now on my thumbnail, representing the review, is the most misleading, most misguided, despicable advertisement I have ever seen. I knew this film was going to have some problems when they tried to do the hip-hop move, that digi-rap that was promoting this movie online. I knew there was an issue when that music came on, as well as seeing them in the trailers. And the trailers, by the way, was very misleading. It made you sound like you was watching something epic. It was watching something big. And all you saw was 3 episodes of a show that could have been easily compressed into a special TV series, an origin story. This movie not only was bad in terms of movie structure, this movie was bad in terms of animation and just basically dialogue. I don't know how it's possible. And let's be honest, the animation in Digimon, despite I love Digimon. Let's get that right out the way. I love Digimon. I have watched season 1 and season 2 faithfully from beginning to end. However, let's keep it real here. It wasn't the great animation that I remember. When I look back at it, I said it wasn't the greatest animation that they had done. This is 10 times worse. The animation went from barely passable to just unwatchable almost, especially the last act of the film, which is pretty much the 3rd episode of the Digimon movie. And it pretty much goes like this. The first episode is a lost episode, which actually was referenced before in any of the during the TV series run, about how the Digidestins actually met before they became the Digidestins. And the only thing it really added more is to how Tai and his sister Curry actually met their first Digimon, which was Agumon. It explains the events leading to all the Digimon being at the same place at the same time, and it pretty much is the origin story before the digital world. You have the second episode, which is pretty much the events after the digital world, where they are finally at home, and there was some incident that happened, and the two big guys, you know, Ty and his best friend, actually was summoned back into the digital world to fight off. There was others, but it was really focused on their two, and basically have formed a new digivolve technique, which was actually expanded upon in the TV series, the second season. Now, I'm going to say this right now. That was the only thing expanded upon, DNA Digivolve. That was the only thing that was expanded upon. This movie, after that, between the episode that was lost during the beginning of the film to the episode after the film, which talked about the newer generation and really didn't even focus on the newer generation that much, this film really didn't have much else to go with. That's the only thing that actually carried over through the TV series. Then let's get on to the third series, which is pretty much the newer generation and how they went on their little adventure. And before I go on, I know I'm missing one major gap. There was one thing that actually linked them all. There was a boy who had two Digimons, not one but two, and pretty much there was a link between them. More on the episode that we see in the middle and the last episode, because the middle one, he actually made a virus that caused the Digidestined to actually unite once again, at least the other two. And you had one of his affected Digimons, which led for the new generation to help him stop the other Digimon from destroying the world or whatever. No, I'm just basically rambling along with this because frankly this movie is that forgettable. Even if I have seen this again before this review, it's very forgettable. And to be honest with you, I don't want to remember this. I don't even want to acknowledge this film existed. That's how bad this movie is. The animation, the one thing that you actually come to expect in an animated film, was the worst I've seen during this film release. It's one of the worst animation films, period. Many critics said this is actually better than Pokemon. I'm sorry. And can't do that. Not story-wise, not animation-wise, not structure-wise. This film was a big, giant mess. And I know people saying, well, probably the Japanese version is better. Even if it was in Japan, I seriously doubt it would have been make the film better. The structure was a mess. It was a cluster of basically poor animation mixed with just poor editing, mixed with just basically this wasn't a movie. I came in there hoping to see a movie. I got to see 3 episodes that should have been done on television. It was a huge disappointment. And as a Digimon fan who had watched the first 2 seasons, this was a huge letdown. I came out there angry at the fact that I wasted my time watching this movie. And again, I should have heeded the warning signs when I heard that Digirap soundtrack. Kind of ironic, I actually bought the soundtrack after watching this movie, but the only reason why I bought it because I found out that the actual theme from the Digimon movie was actually in that soundtrack, along with other themes that was in the TV show. There's basically only 5 songs from the movie was in that soundtrack. Everything else was the TV show, which pretty much told you right there this should have been a TV special. Or at least break down the 3 episodes into the season itself. This should not have been in a movie. All the films I've seen, when I say this should not be in the movie in theaters, this is a prime example. Period. I cannot understand how this movie was. You know, it bothers me because here's the thing, and you look at it, I want you to look at the poster again because this is the most deceptive poster. You see this poster, you're thinking, oh, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be futuristic, it's gonna be something that's gonna go beyond the TV show. It did none of that. Which brings me to my another problem. Why was this PG anyway? Because the poop jokes that was in there? That's why I don't get it. But what I do not understand, and what I don't understand is how they actually thought it was going to work, because this got bashed by critics, and rightfully so, and even my fans. I think the Rotten Tomato level was in the teens. Hasn't moved since. And this is one of the reasons why, and maybe say, oh, it's a Japanese animation, it's the dumb. No, I'm pretty sure that if this was in Japanese animation, it would have been have the same results. Because again, you're seeing 3 episodes. You ain't seen the movie. You're seeing 3 episodes basically compiled into one. And the poster you're seeing is the 2nd episode of this movie. But it really gave you very little covering. Almost nothing here follows through. And I say almost because it was DNA Digivolve. It did explain how it came to be in the TV show, so fine. But there was a lot of other elements, especially the end where you had, the 2 originals going to a Digivolve that never happened again in the TV series. It only happened in the movies. It was at the very end of the film how they beat this virus Digimon. Other than that, again, waste of time. Is there any redeeming quality with the film? Yes, it was in the middle. The battle scenes were actually pretty good in the middle. For one time, at least small bit of fraction, you felt you was watching something big. That's it. Everything else is a waste of time. I wasn't impressed by the dialogue, wasn't impressed by the action throughout. I wasn't impressed by the animation, which is the worst I've seen. This was a huge, giant mess. I can say a lot of stuff about Pokemon, but at least Pokemon tried. At least Pokemon tried to give us something good. This is nowhere. This is just plain lazy. And the fact that even some people say, well, it's a little bit better than Pokemon. Come on now. Come on. This is nowhere near, in my opinion, this is nowhere near better than Pokemon. This is 10 times worse than all the films I combined. So what's my rating for this? 1 star. And the only reason why it's getting 1 star is because in the middle was the strongest of the 3. The middle part, where you had this situation in the online where people was following the event that was happening with this virus Digimon that was created by one of the Digidestins who was unidentified. The one that had the 2 Digimons. So there's my feeling on that. There's my feeling on that. Out of all the films, I saved this one for last because I knew I had to calm myself down and not scream and yell about this film, because it really did. If you would have seen me when I was in my younger days, when I was in my 20s, this film really didn't make me happy. I couldn't believe I wasted my time with that film. And this is one of the very few films I actually have very little description for, because to me it doesn't worth my time to give you too much description on it. I don't know, some people actually like it, some people who are actually fans of it, but to me it's just not, to me it's just, out of all of them, it didn't work. And largely because they didn't try to give us a movie. They said, okay, we can use this in the season, we can use this during the 2nd season, we're not going to touch on this too much in the 3rd season, let's just put it all together and make a movie and hope somebody actually buys into it. I will say this though, the poster was awesome. It is misleading. You're thinking that all the Digidestins will unite as one to fight this common threat that you see on the shadows of the Digimon logo, but it didn't really happen. That's you're seeing the poster of the middle of Act 2. That's it. That's Act 2 right there. And if you add it all together, it's probably only 30 minutes long, 20, 40 minutes long. You could take that whole thing out between the origin story and the story that really didn't, it wasn't gonna mean anything in the TV series. And it would have actually been, that poster represents 1/3 of the film. That's probably only 30 minutes long. That's it. I got better quality from the Sailor Moon trilogy that came out on video. Sailor Moon R, Sailor Moon S, Sailor Moon Super S. I had more quality with them, and they were 30 minutes long. And they were considered movies, at least in the Japanese version. This here was just a waste of my time. But you may disagree. I'd like to know what you're feeling on this. I'd like to know what you're feeling on all the movies that I've said. Until next time, guys, J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. More to come in this year's Flashback Review.